What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today on the channel my update for LIBROMANCER MIKANKO for the post-Duelist Nexus format. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh that you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to smash that subscribe button, like the video, comment down below on what your thoughts are. We're working our way to our 1,500 subscriber goal. We just reached our 1,000 subscriber benchmark, and of course, as always, I need your help to get there. So trust me when I say you're not gonna find Yu-Gi-Oh content like this anywhere else on YouTube. This is the spot you want to be at. So subscribe, like the video as always, and with that being said, we're going to be diving into the profile. But before we do, I want to give a shout out to a fellow Yu-Gi-Tuber who is just starting out. His name is Yu-Gi-Wo. I'm going to leave a link to his channel down below. He specializes, at least right now, in Mikanko content, and he's been posting some really cool and unique videos. He doesn't do a LIBROMANCER variant like I do. He's doing Mikanko mixed in with like some of the Infernoble support and just generic warrior good stuff. So if you guys want more Mikanko content that isn't LIBROMANCER specific, then I highly encourage you go to his channel. Again, I'll leave the link down in the description below because he's got some really good ideas and shows off some pretty cool, unique combos with the deck. But for those of you that are here for LIBROMANCER MIKANKO, well, you've come to the right place because I've been playing this deck for quite a bit now, and I want to say that this is probably my most optimized version. I know that I uploaded a version of this deck right after the release of the Battles of Legend Monsters Revenge set that came out this past summer, but now as we're nearing the end of summer and Duelist Nexus just came out a few weeks ago now, there was actually more Mikanko support in that set. So I felt that it was the appropriate time to go ahead and update the deck list. So with that being said and the intro out of the way, you know how we do things here on the channel. We are going to be starting with the monster lineup first. Now the deck did get slightly larger. I believe the version I profiled after the Battles of Legend Monsters Revenge was 42 cards. Since then, the deck has increased in size to 44 cards currently. And despite the little bit chunkier deck size, the deck actually feels a lot more streamlined now than it did before for some reason. I'm not sure why that is, but in testing, it's been running really, really well. So we're going to start things off here with a playset of LIBROMANCER Fire. Now the beautiful thing is, the LIBROMANCERs were confirmed to be getting reprints in lower rarities in the Megatins, which is going to make this deck super duper budget. In addition to that, Illusion of Chaos, which is a card that was exclusive to Battle of Chaos, the core set, is also confirmed to get a reprint in the Megatins as well. So expect the cost of this particular deck, if you guys want to build it, to drop tremendously. Not that it was, crazily expensive before, but now it's even lower in price and more accessible to those who really do want to play Yu-Gi-Oh on a budget. So we're starting off with triple copies of LIBROMANCER Fire. He specials himself for free by revealing a ritual monster in hand, and then upon special summon, he lets you search for a LIBROMANCER monster from deck to hand. Overall, very amazing card. You definitely want to max out on triple copies of him. Following that, we are also playing a playset of LIBROMANCER Geek Boy. Again, an amazing card you definitely want to max out on. Both Fire and Geek Boy would be the LIBROMANCER starters, I would consider. Geek Boy has the same summoning condition. You reveal a ritual in hand, special summon himself, and when he's special summoned, you can search for a LIBROMANCER spell from deck to hand. So overall, these cards are just really great extenders and consistency boosters, letting you search for things in the deck, which is really, really nice. Then we play one copy of LIBROMANCER Agent. Same summoning requirement as Fire and Geek Boy. However, he doesn't actually have any trigger effects that happen on summon. What he is during your main phase, you can target a LIBROMANCER card in your graveyard except himself, add it to your hand, then if you added a spell trap by this effect, you can place a card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. So he's your recursion slash, like grind game enabler, I guess you would say. So, mid to late game, he does come up and helps you recycle your resources. If you add a monster back, you don't got to pitch anything. But if you add a spell trap back specifically, you do have to take a card from your hand and put it on bottom of the deck. Which, keep in mind, it could be the spell trap that you added. Because all the spell traps in this deck are very searchable. So you putting it on the bottom of the deck isn't really a detriment to your game plan. So that wraps up the LIBROMANCER non-ritual monsters. Now we're going to move into the Mikanko monsters, of which we play one of each of the girls. We have one Hare, one Nini, and one Huli. Or for those of you who are, struggle with pronunciation, we have red, blue, and green. We just play one of each. Again, this is not a pure Mikanko deck list. In the previous list, I was only running both Hare and Nini. I wasn't, actually no, that's a lie. I was running the Huli, but Huli, it got a lot better post Nexus because we got a brand new Mikanko trap that was released in that set that Huli can search, and it is way better than any of the other Mikanko traps that we have, in my opinion. So we just round out with just one of each copy. We don't need any more than that. Honestly, these cards are absolutely amazing. They're all very searchable with the theme, and one is more than enough. I mean, again, this is a Libromancer variant, so I don't want to clog by playing too many copies of these cards. I think one of each of the girls is the perfect ratio, in my honest opinion. Then moving on to our more generic non-ritual monsters, just some tech cards that we're running. I am playing 2 copies of Cyber's Gadget as a good normal summon for the theme, because the Libromancers are basically just free extension, and they make very good link fodder. And that's why this particular version of Libromancer Mikanko that I have isn't really like Isolde Turbo or like Archlord Christia Turbo. We actually do like a link span and just, use the Libromancer cards as extenders to help us link summon and link climb into bigger and better monsters, which I think is super cool. Plus, you add into the fact that Libromancer Fire happens to be Cyber's type. It just works so well together. So having Cyber's Gadget as a normal summon for this theme is really powerful, because when he's linked off, he just produces another Cyber's token on field, which can help you extend into, other plays. Rounding that off, we also play 2 copies of the Ringo Worm, the dragon guarding the 100 apples. This card works really well in this deck in tandem with the Cyber's Gadget and another card that we'll talk about later in the profile. But as long as you control a normal monster, which keep in mind tokens are treated as such, you can special this card from your hand. Now what's cool is that if you open both him and the Ringo Worm, you can actually normal Gadget, link them off for a link 1, produce a token, and then special the Ringo Worm. The token's a level 2 Cybers, Ringo Worm's a level 2 Tuner. That means that you can make a level 4 Synchro, and there is actually a very good one that you want to be making in most ritual decks, and that would be Herald of the Arclight, a very amazing level 4 Synchro that this deck can actually hard make, because not only is Herald an Omni Negate, but when he is sent to the graveyard, whether that's by his own effect or the opponent, gets rid of it, he lets you search for a ritual spell or ritual monster from deck to hand, just further increasing the overall consistency of this deck. Then out of the graveyard, Ringo Worm can banish itself if you Synchro Summon this turn to produce yet another token, which can be treated as a tuner for a Synchro Summon if you so wish, which I think is very cool. So this little package has been working out extremely well for me. There are some instances where I'll side them out, but for the most part, I'm really happy with that small package of cards. Then we move on to 2 copies of Jizukiru, the Star Destroying Kaiju. We previously were running 3 copies of this in the main board, but generally Libro Mikanko is a deck that I think wants to go first most of the time. Not that it can't go second, because trust me when I say it has amazing board breaking capabilities, but generally if I roll the die and I win the die roll, I'm opting to go first. And maxing out on Kaijus when you're going first isn't the greatest thing, because you do have a chance to brick on them, since they don't really do anything to help establish your plays. They're more so for board breaking specifically. So I cut them down from the 3 of in the main to the 2 of in the main. I am siding the 1 copy though, the 3rd copy in the sideboard, but we just decided to just play the 2 in the main, and so far it's been working out great. The reason why we play Jizukiru specifically is just because it is the biggest kaiju stat-wise, 3,300 attack, which makes the Mikankos, rub their hands together and lick their lips, because the bigger the threat, the harder the opponent falls. So, moving on to the last non-ritual monster we play is 1 copy of Magician's Souls. And fear not, I know a lot of people were turned off by this package because Illusion of Chaos has been so expensive, but like I said, Illusion of Chaos is confirmed to be getting a reprint in this year's Megatins, which at time of recording should be out by next week if I'm not mistaken, so you'll be able to scoop up your copies of Illusion of Chaos for much, much cheaper than what they are now. So then Magician's Souls in this deck is obviously a very amazing extender, letting you dig deeper into the deck for more cards, and using his effect to send like some of the Mikanko equips to the graveyard to net even more advantage, and so Hime can equip them from grave back to the field, so it's almost like the cost you pay isn't even paid in a sense. Now we're going to be moving into some of the ritual monsters, of which we now play a playset of Ohime, the Manifested Mikanko. This card is just absolutely incredible, the absolute backbone of the Mikanko theme in my opinion. I am aware that Mikanko did get another ritual monster out of Duelist Nexus in the form of Arahime. However, I don't think Arahime, in my personal opinion, is that great. I think if you're playing a pure, and I mean a literal pure Mikanko deck, then I could see an argument for playing like 1 Arahime in the main board. But because this is a Libro Mikanko variant, I just feel like Arahime doesn't have much of a place in this particular deck list, in my honest opinion. She does some cool things, but I think she's better suited in a pure Mikanko deck list, which is why we're not running her. But Ohime is more than enough. We max out on Ohime. She's amazing to reveal to, be able to special your Libromancer monsters. Then once you do the Libromancer line, Ohime herself can then reveal herself again to then search any Mikanko card and then just continue extending. Absolutely incredible. Also her ability to be able to equips from graveyard to any appropriate monster on field without even targeting that monster is huge. Overall, just an amazing card. And then just like all the other Mikanko main deck girls, Ohime does also the same damage reflection gimmick, and it's just they're very hard to deal with, especially when they're equipped with their appropriate equips, because they can't be destroyed. They can't be destroyed by card effects or battle. In Huli's case, the green one, while she's equipped, none of the Mikanko cards can be targeted either, so it just makes them very difficult to remove. All the while, every time they inflict damage to the opponent's the one taking all the damage, which is, in my opinion, just absolutely hilarious. So we max out on the Ohime, obviously. Then rounding out the rest of our rituals, we play 2 copies of Illusion of Chaos. Now, the reason why we play 2 in this deck specifically is because you need rituals in hand to reveal for the Libromancers. So I know most builds just play 1 IOC and 1 Souls, but in this particular build, I find that 2 Illusion of Chaos or IOC is the perfect ratio. Obviously Illusion lets you search the souls, and then you can either keep Illusion in hand or put Illusion back, and then send an Illusion from deck to grave to special the souls for free and just keep extending that way. So overall, I wanted to play rituals in this deck that weren't just garnets. I wanted rituals that not only you could reveal for the Libromancer cards, but also in their own right did things. Because that's the problem that I have with a lot of the Libromancer rituals, is that a lot of them don't do anything in hand. You need them in hand because you have to reveal a ritual for the Libros to do anything, but outside of Doombroker specifically, in my opinion, a lot of the Libromancer rituals just don't do enough, in my opinion. So that's why I wanted to fill this deck with rituals that seemed a little bit more proactive, in my opinion. With that being said, though, we do play 1 Cyber Sage. She was relatively new out of Cyberstorm Access, if I'm not mistaken, and she's just incredible. She helps enable a really cool line that you guys may have seen in some of my previous combo videos. If you want to see a new combo video with this deck, with the updated version, then let me know. Get this video to 35 likes, and I will bring you guys that updated combo tutorial and test hands. But Sage, her being a Cyberse Ritual Tuner monster, she also lets you fusion summon. She does a whole lot of cool stuff and just enables really cool link climbing plays and allows access into some really cool things. So we just play her as a 1-of, of course. And then to round out the last monster and the last ritual monster that we play is 1 copy of Libromancer Doombroker. In my opinion, probably the best Libromancer ritual. Not only does he help you set a trap from your deck to your side of the field during your turn, which their trap is really powerful. He can also attack directly, and if he does inflict damage to the opponent, you can target any face-up monster they control and shuffle it back into the deck. It's really good removal. And this card overall, he just does a lot for the theme. So we play just 1 copy of him. Is really all you need. It's more than enough. So that rounds out all the monsters. Now we're going to dive into the spells, of which we play 2 copies of Libromancer First Appearance, followed by 1 copy of Libromancer Origin Story. First Appearance is their field spell, and it's also how you ritual summon the Doombroker, because Libromancer, they're a little unconventional. They do have a ritual spell in Archetype, but in all seriousness, it's not that great. So you'd rather just ritual summon using the field spell, which I think is cool. In addition to that, upon activation, the field spell lets you search for a Libromancer monster, so it's just another consistency booster. And then Origin Story, upon activation, you can set a Libromancer spell directly from your deck, except a copy of itself. Yes, Origin can set First Appearance, because Origin does not specify that the spell you're setting has to go to the spell trap zone specifically, which is why you're able to set First Appearance to the field spell zone from deck, which I think is cool. Also, all Libromancer monsters gain 100 attack times their own level, so the Doombroker that you have actually gets pretty big. He jumps to 3100, which can crest over most, boss monsters nowadays. And then if that wasn't crazy enough, whenever a ritual monster is ritual summoned, you get to target a spell trap the opponent controls and destroy it. So overall, Origin Story does quite a bit of things, and it's been a very good card for the theme. But just 1 is all you need. Again, you can recycle it with cards like Libromancer Agent. You don't want to clog on having too many duplicates of stuff. So that rounds out the Libromancer spells. Now we're going to dive into the Mikanko spells, of which we are playing triple copies of Water Arabesque. We play 3 of this now in the main board. We were previously playing 2, but that's only because we used to play just the 2 girls. Now we play 3 of the Mikanko girls in the main deck, you know, red, green, and blue, respectively. So I felt that bumping our best to a 3 of just made sense. This card is nuts. It's like an E-Telly and a compulsory evacuation device all in one card. Like, it's just insane, the amount of power that this card alone has. It forces out so much interaction from the opponent. It's just a very powerful equip spell overall, in my opinion, and that's why we max out on it. Then we play 1 copy of the Mikanko Reflection Rondo. Rondo is nice. You can equip it to only an opponent's monster, and then while you control Mikanko, you take control of the opponent's monster. And then if a Mikanko leaves the field, or if this card leaves the field, you send the opponent's monster to the graveyard, so they don't even get it back. So this card's like an archetype Snatch Steal, which is very, very cool. And then to round out the equips, you just play 1 Mikanko Dance Male Washidori. This card is nice because it's also a monster reborn from the graveyard. You can, while this card's in grave, you can target a Mikanko in your graveyard, special summon it, and then equip it with this card, which is really nice, but banish it when it leaves the field. Again, that restriction isn't really even a problem. And then at the start of the damage step, or the end of the damage step, I believe, yeah, end of the damage step, excuse me. If a Mikanko monster battled, you could target 1 card in the field, return it to the hand. So this card's also like removal, kind of like the equip from the Adventure token equip of the Dracoback. Male Washidori kind of does the same thing as well, which is really nice. So that rounds out all the Mikanko equips we play. Now onto their equip play spells, of which we just play the 2 copies of Great Mikanko Ceremony. We bumped this up from 1 in the previous list to 2 of, because we're maxing out on Ohimes, and once you burn the 1 copy, I felt that if the duel became a grind game, you didn't have a way to summon another Ohime. So I feel like having the 2nd ceremony just helps out so much for those games where it does turn into a bit of a grind. This lets you special summon any Mikanko from your hand, ignoring summoning conditions. That's why it can special Ohime, because it does ignore conditions. But then you return it to the hand on the end of the next turn, and then out of the graveyard you can banish this from grave to then foolish any Mikanko card from your deck to the graveyard. So 2 ceremony is really, really nice. Now moving on to our generic spells, you know, or just consistency cards and just staples. We play a playset of Preparation of Rites. This card is just nuts. It's literally a Rhoda for any level 7 or lower ritual monster. It can also add a ritual spell from the graveyard back to your hand, which is nice. But what's crazy is that this card is not once per turn, which just makes it that much better. You know, you having basically an additional 3 copies of any ritual that you need in the deck is really, really strong, and just further increases the overall ceiling and consistency of the deck. Then we also play 2 copies of Silent Mining. This was previously at 3 of. I decided to test by cutting 1 of them and just testing it at 2, and so far I don't regret it. You can use mining to search for cards like Libromancer Fire, or also search for the Cyber's Gadget if you want that to go down that line. Also in a pinch, you can also use this to search the ritual monster Cyber Sage, because she is a Cyber's monster, so if you really just needed a ritual that badly, you can also sign up mining to search her as well. So as a 2 of, I think this card is more than fine. Do I miss playing 3? Not really, to be quite honest, because once you resolve this card once, the other copies kind of become irrelevant anyway. Just because like once you use it to find whatever you're looking for, you know, you're probably going down your combo line, and the other copies aren't really needed as much, if that makes sense. So moving on, we do play the 2 copies of One-Time Passcode still. This just lets you special summon a Cyber's token to your side of the field. This also is another enabler for the Ringo Worm that we play, since it's a token is a non-effect monster, so Ringo Worm can still special itself from the hand, which is really nice. This card's been really, really impactful for me the past few times I've played it. Then to round up the spells, 1 copy of Cyanite Ritual. This is used to summon the Cyber Sage monster that we play as a 1 of. Both Sage and Cyanite Ritual are searchable through the Cyber Switch line, of which we play in our extra deck, and it is very, very easy to get to her with the way that this deck runs. Now to round out the last 2 cards we mainboard, again this is a 44 card list, we play 1 Libromancer Intervention, which is basically their Omni Negate. Keep in mind that Doombroker can set this from the deck to the side of the field. Not only is it an Omni Negate, so it can stop anything like Dark Ruler, Droplet unless they pitch a trap. It can stop cards like Evenly Matched, but it's also a Monster Reborn on top of it at Resolution, which is really crazy. So, very good card in my opinion. And then for the last card that we play is the brand new Mikanko Trap. Fresh out of Duelist Nexus is Mikanko Spirit Walk. This card is searchable through Huli, the green one. And this card, in my opinion, is the best trap card that they have. It lets you target a face-up monster that the opponent controls, and you basically get to equip that monster to a Mikanko monster you control as an equip spell, and then if you control a ritual monster card, you get to inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each equip spell you control. So this card is not only great in time, it's just very good removal. Oh, excuse me. My allergies have been really bothering me all day long today, so if I sound a little sniffly, I do apologize. I'm trying to, not do that on camera, but my allergies have really been kicking my ass, so I do apologize if I, sniffle a couple times during the video. But anyway, this card is just really good removal. Like, you can target any face-up monster as long as the card can be targeted. It now is an equip spell on my Mikanko, which is crazy. Like, it's just free removal, non-destruction. Like, it's so good. And then if that wasn't crazy enough, you can banish this card from the graveyard and then special summon a Mikanko monster that's either banished or that's in your hand. So again, even if your Mikankos get banished by something, this card can also still recover them, which is really nice. So that rounds out the main deck, guys. Again, 44 card list post Duelist Nexus update. Now we're going to jump into the extra deck, of which is relatively the same, minus one particular change that we did make. So we're still playing the one Cyber's Disave Worm. This we go into off the Cyber Sage line. Cyber Sage does have an effect that lets you fusion summon, and that's how we actually get into Disave Worm. And then Disave Worm and Sage, Sage is a tuner, he's a non-tuner 6, that we can make a Synchro 7 with those two cards, which is usually our Cyber's Quantum Dragon. And then when we put this in the graveyard, it's a spell trap negate while it's in the grave, and we control a Link 4 or higher Cyber's Link monster, which is really, really nice. So just one copy of Disave Worm. Then we play the one Herald of the Arclight. Again, I talked about how we can actually hard make this using the Ringo Worm. We also play one Triage Master. This is actually the change we made in the extra deck. And then, of course, our one copy of Cyber's Quantum Dragon, of which we had already brought up briefly. But Triage Master, I was running the Malong, the TCG exclusive level 6 synchro. I forget it. I just know it's Malong. Malong something. No puns intended. But I decided to cut it for Triage Master instead, because generally when we make Triage Master, we're only using a level 2 tuner and a level 4 non-tuner, which allows us to get us a free draw off of this card on summon. The other synchro in question, the Malong, when it was sent to the graveyard, it would let you target a face-up monster and return it to the hand, which was cool, but I felt like going first, it didn't really do anything relevant. At least Triage Master, if you make this going first, and on summon, it gets you the draw, which is nice. Like, the problem with Malong is that it wouldn't bounce anything until it left the field. So, like, there were some instances where, like, you just couldn't get rid of it. And even if you could, if you're going first, the bounce just didn't, like, feel impactful, obviously. At least with Triage Master, you get the draw instantly, and you still keep the body, which is nice. So I've been testing it out, and so far I don't have any problems with it whatsoever. Triage Master's been a really good card to play in this particular list. That rounds out our synchros. Now we're going to be diving into the copious amount of links that we play, of which we play one Link Decoder. This is also brand new out of the Battles of Legends set that came out in the summertime. One Lingaribo. Then we play the one Cyber Switch, one Security Dragon, one IP Masquerena, and we play the one Dino Mondo. That rounds out our Link 1s and Link 2s. Link Decoder is really awesome. It just helps you facilitate a really awesome link climb. Lingaribo is crucial in this deck, especially when going second against back row matchups. You can take like a Libromancer Fire or even a Cyber's Gadget and just hard make this. And then now you actually have a trap negate on field, which is really nice. In addition to those decks that also like to Ibly lock you, like I actually just played a Sprite deck recently that tried to Ibly lock me. And, I just made Lingaribo for free, and then also turned off their Sprite double cross that they had in the back row at the same time, which is really cool. Cyber Switch is crucial for this theme. She just allows you to search for a Cyanite Ritual plus Cyber Sage, and just helps you extend. She's also a Monster Reborn for any Cyber's monster in the graveyard, which is really nice. Security Dragon is nice when you're link climbing, just getting free bounces and help board breaking. IP Masquerena is pretty self-explanatory, and then Dynamondo is also a really cool card. Although, to be honest, I don't really go into this. This has to be the card that I make the least amount of times while playing this deck is Dynamondo. So I guess you could say that this is maybe a flex spot. I mean, there's been a couple times when it's come up, but for the most part, I don't actually really go into it all that much. So maybe, you guys can recommend a different card I could be running in the extra deck in place of that. I don't know, let me know. But that rounds out our low-level links. Now we're going to be going into our Link 3s and higher. We play one Decode Talker Heat Soul, of which now we make so much easier in this deck. Like, we go into this almost every single turn. It's crazy. We also play 1 Appaloosa, the 1 Axis Code Talker, 1 Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, and then to round out our boss monster for the theme is our Firewall Dragon Singularity. Now all these cards do amazing things in their own right, and despite what you think, it's actually not difficult to make these cards at all in this deck. And a lot of the times, excluding the Heat Soul, we're usually going into these cards during the opponent's turn with the help of IP Masquerena, which is really cool. But Heat Soul, you guys should already know what he does. He's just a really powerful monster and gets you free draws by paying 1,000 life points. Appaloosa should need no introduction. She's still insane as a Link 4 monster in most strategies. Axis Code is just your game ender and board breaker. Dark Fluid is effectively like a bigger version of Appaloosa in a way. He once per turn negates monsters by pulling counters off of himself, and the counters that he has is dictated by the number of Cyberse, Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz monsters that you have in your graveyard. So if you pull the combo off correctly, you can summon the Dark Fluid with at least 3 counters on it, which gives him 3 negates. He also gains 2,500 attack, I believe. Yeah, he gains 2,500 attack for each counter on him, which is really, really nice. So he can get pretty big. And then Singularity is just a house of a Link 6. It can spin multiple cards as a quick effect. It's also a generic reborn as well. But overall, I've been having a lot of success with this deck list and the extra deck as well. But now that we're done with the extra, we're going to dive into the side briefly before we wrap things up. The side deck did get changed slightly. We're sideboarding the 3rd Jizukiru. We side deck the 1 copy of Saravis, the Ancient and Ascended, for those matchups that specialize in targeting a lot of things. Then we also played triple copies of Salesman. As of right now, this is still my out to Droll and Lockbird. Salesman's been working great, and even if they're not playing Droll, we can usually, once we know the matchup and we're going second, we can Salesman into any name that they have on field, which is nice. We also played triple copies of Hey Trunade for the back row matchups, followed by 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents, as well as 2 copies of Axe of Fools, a really strong card for going second. It's just effectively like negation and buffs the opponent's monster by 1,000, which again makes your Mikanko monsters rub their hands together slowly while they lick their lips, because the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And then to round out the sideboard, we play 1 Mikanko Fire Dance, again another Mikanko equip that's like a generic reborn. The 1 Mikanko Kagura for the matchups where you actually want to ritual summon Ohime properly. Because when you do this, you can also pop cards on field up to the number of equips you have in grave, which I think is crazy. And then 1 Mikanko Promise, which is just another E-Tully, basically special Mikanko from the hand or the deck, and then equip it with a Mikanko equipped from the graveyard that you can equip to it. But again, this card is searchable off Huli, the green one. So that rounds out my update to LIBROMANCER Mikanko post Duelist Nexus. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that update. Again, comment down below on what you guys thought. Like and subscribe. If you guys want more Mikanko content, like I said, check out my boy Yu-Gi-Oh's channel. I'll leave a link to his channel down below if you guys want even more Mikanko content. He's the place to be right now. And with that being said, stay tuned, guys. I'm going to be doing my update to Dynamorphia sometime this coming week, so stay tuned for that. And like I said, this is your boy Nick, signing out. Peace.